Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Team Genius coming at you from upstate New York, power of sound out of Schenectady, New York. Just want to take and give my review on DC Audio, my experience with them. Um, Long story short, I've never owned a high top of the line, but you guys gotta bear with me here. I haven't been asleep yet. Been up for I want almost 24 hours. I woke up yesterday at around 1:30, right before I had to go to work, and I still haven't been asleep yet. And here it is 9:15. So yeah, well, it's starting to catch up to me, but neither here or there. Um, I've never ever owned a high end amp before, and one of the most respected names in the game that I'm aware of is DC Audio. So I figured I'll give them a run since their amps, from what I've always been told, are beasts, top of the line, top quality, etc., etc., etc. And I had bought the DC 10K. I actually bought it from Down for Sound. I bought it from them, and Down for Sound, just to get this out of the way, Down for Sound pulled up my invoice, and my amp came directly from DC Audio. Uh, because Down for Sound had told me that they don't even have the DC 10K in stock. They haven't had it in stock for months. Um, and my invoice stated that, or my invoice states that it's not used, not refurbished. It's DC Audio 10K, which means new. Just keep that in mind as I keep going with this, because there's no way of making this video really short if I'm going to cover everything. And I've actually got DC Audio's repair guy Kevin. I've got the messenger open and videos that he sent me, which I'm actually gonna take and record his. I'm gonna record the videos, but I mean, you're not gonna see the video, but you're gonna hear what he's saying himself. So there's like no way around it. It's ridiculous how this all played out. But either or, um, I got the DC Audio 10K. Ran great. Was running strong. One day I was driving home from the store, enjoying a Red Bull on my day off from work, and as I was driving, listen to the system, not having it cranked at all, just a little extra bump to the music just to enjoy it, nothing crazy at all. And out of nowhere, my bass just instantly cut off. Right then and there, I pulled the car over, shut the car off, um, turned the car back on. Everything was fine. I turned my deck on. The second I turned my deck on, I heard a pop. What the hell? I get right out of my car, pop my trunk. My DC 10K is in protect mode. Like, I didn't even do anything. Um, but I called DC Audio, got the RA number, shipped my amp out to Kevin, which to ship the amp, it cost me $107. Which, keep in mind, I don't get that money back. Even if it is under warranty. And like, in the very first amp that Kevin got for me, it was under warranty. It got replaced for free, and they shipped it to me. However, I had to pay to ship it out, so I'm out of that money, and I'm about to be out of it again when the second one I've got here to the right of me, when I ship that out. So that's $214 that I'm out on top of what I've paid for the amp. Um, but neither here or there. Um, Kevin point blank says the amp is not new, refurbished. He told me that the factory, um, they more than likely tested the amp out, blew the amp up when they tested it, did a half-ass job repairing it, and sent the amp to DC Audio and didn't tell DC Audio about it. Do I believe that? I really don't know. I mean, but the kicker is, though, Kevin also says in other videos that DC Audio has gotten a bad batch of 10Ks and 20Ks of Pitbull. So if you know you got a bad batch, why wouldn't you take and test every single amp in that bad batch? Why let that bad batch go out to customers that are paying $2,700 for a 10K and almost $4,000 for a Pitbull? You're gonna let that kind of money, a customer's gonna spend that kind of money, and you're just gonna give them an amp and hopefully it's not one of the ones out of the bad batch when you could have just tested it. Come on, it doesn't take anything to take an amp and put it on an amp dyno and run it to test it, to put it through its paces. Come on. Even when I did a clamp test on my Terram's base 12K, it took me literally all of 30 seconds to do a clamp test. literally. But neither here nor there. I'm gonna take and get into it. You can actually hear what Kevin says. This is the first video for him. You can hear what he says himself.
So this 10K, John Delvin, RA2312. This has been repaired or something before. Somebody obviously like replaced that trace. That kind of looks like Loctite. I don't know if the factory did some shit like that. I really don't think so. I mean, it looks like it's been apart before. And somebody clearly changed the 12-volt auxiliary regulators and that inductor. The output section is hella exploded. For sure. But this section over here is exploded also by all this. So, I don't know. Was it repaired before? The warranty sticker didn't really look like it was fucked up. I mean, maybe. Power supply is fine. But yeah, I mean, the thermal paste, somebody's taken this apart before. For sure. You don't even have to take the power supply board out to do output section repair on this. So whoever did it created more work for themselves. I don't understand. Unless the factory did it. That's just... I would have just ran a jumper on the bottom of the board and completely ripped that off. If it's shorted to the case or something, that's, you know, what I would have done.
Anyway, that's the first video, and we go on talking about amps and etc, etc. And that little noise you're hearing, it's my keyboard. It keeps connecting and disconnecting because I got it USB plugged in the wrong port. But either or, here's the next video right here. I'm just gonna jump to the videos.
At this a little closer.
So here's the next video.
So looking at this a little closer, it does look like maybe something shorted out in there. Possibly blew apart this trace. Definitely blew apart the trace over here, and they ran the jumper on the power supply side. And this is 100% some shit the factory would do and was done before. But the output section, you can see these solder joints. That's all been wave soldered. That looks all fine. That was all done in an automated process. Those are good. That one's been replaced. That one's been replaced. So it basically blew up. They slapped 2 MOSFETs in it, fixed a couple traces, and sent it. You know, it was probably good for a little bit, and it probably just blew up. Because, you know, that's a half-ass way to fix it. Pretty much all of them have to be replaced. All of it has to be replaced at the same time for it to be reliable. So, you know, that's 100% a factory issue. That's you know, shit that they do. It's fucked up. There was a whole batch of 20Ks that was, you know, the same bullshit too, that they didn't tell anyone about. So, I mean, this is nothing new. So looking at this,
that's that video. That's the second one that he sent me. Which, I mean, we're cool talking about amps and stuff like that. And I'm gonna go to the next video. I believe. Yep. Here's another video. And he starts discussing a little something else differently. But here we go on the next video.
Yeah, I think it was the screw that was missing. This one was loose. This one was loose. They probably weren't tight from the factory. They use like these torque screwdrivers, and they need to set them higher. But yeah, what happens is this one's loose, and it's mounted, you know, on the amp, and the whole thing moves, and the board moves, and the MOSFET's clamped to the heatsink still. So what happens is this leg will break, and this is the gate leg that controls the MOSFET. If this becomes disconnected, the MOSFET can stay on or randomly turn on, and if this side is on, when this side is on, it will blow the fuck up. And sometimes it will just take out one section, and eventually it will basically backfeed and take out the rest of it. You know, sometimes it will break this one, but it's not as important because that's just a ground. But yeah, that's vibration damage 101. I've seen that a million times, but yeah, this is fine. It's not cracked at all. So that probably was somewhat recent. Yeah, I think it was.
So that's that video. See if there's another one. I'm pretty sure there is. Actually, no, that's the end of the videos on that end. But yeah, so that's pretty much what Kevin said on that end of the first DC Audio 10K. Is it's a refurbished amp from factory, and they tried to play slick, and they didn't tell DC Audio about it. Which, again, do I believe that? I really don't know. I mean, I'm not in a position to make that call. Either or, if DC Audio knows that they have a bad batch come in, they should be testing every single one of them. At $2,600 for an amp, you're damn right you better be testing every one of them. It's your customers. You please your customers. Your customers are the one keeping you in business. Same thing with the Pitbull. As you guys just heard what Kevin said, even the Pitbulls are the exact same way. You're talking an amp that's like $3,500 to $3,600, and you're not. And if you got a bad batch, you're not going to test them. That kind of money, that adds up very quickly. But that's pretty much that. And then I was going back and forth with Kevin for about 2 weeks because from what DC Auto told me, when it gets sent out, when it gets sent to Kevin, it gets determined whether it's a manufacturer defect or whatever the case may be. If it's a manufacturer defect, then he lets DC Audio know, and DC Audio will ship me out an amp, and altogether it'll be about 3-4 day process. No problem. Week and a half goes by, nothing. I talked to Kevin, and Kevin told me that he talked to Rusty and them, and I guess on their way back from Slamology, they hit a pothole and broke the rim on the Slam Bourbon, whatever the hell you want to call that thing, and they broke the rim, so it was going to be delayed a couple days, and here we are about a week and a half into it, and I was like, so you mean to tell me that they can't make a phone, I was like, you mean to tell me that they can't make a phone call back to the factory or back to their shop, tell somebody who's at the shop, because I know somebody at the shop, we can't make a 5-minute phone call, tell them, fill out the proper paperwork and ship this amp to this customer. Done deal, over with. Funny part about it is when I called down, I try to get around it to make it quicker, and I called Down for Sound on it, and I explained it to Down for Sound, and Down for Sound even said that it was ridiculous. Then when I explained to him about the whole 5-minute phone call thing or whatever, one of the sales reps on the phone for Down for Sound came around and told me point blank, yeah, Jonathan, JP has called here when he's been at a show and told us to ship out a replacement amp on the spot. We filled out the paperwork and we sent it out. Okay, well, if JP cares about his customers that much, why the hell can't DC do it? There's no excuse there. JP calls his shop while at a show and gets things taken care of. You really think I care about a bent rim? I mean, when you broke your rim point blank, I bet you're quick to get on that phone and make the phone call to get that shit taken care of, weren't you? But you couldn't make a 5-minute phone call. But I wonder how many phone calls you made and how long you're on the phone for that whole rim gig. It's whatever. But either or, I finally got the email from DC Audio that my amplet was sent out. I got the amp in the mail, and the second I got it in the mail, I pulled the back plate. Yes, there's warranty stickers on the bottom of it. Here's the kicker, people. I'm going to teach you something really quick if you don't already know it. There's a thing that's called the right to repair law. It's on all electronics. The warranty stickers mean absolutely nothing. All the warranty sticker tells the manufacturer is that the electronic has been taken apart. All electronics have warranty stickers. The warranty stickers mean absolutely nothing. The right to repair law went into effect so that way they're consumers, you, me, etc., 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 we can take apart our stuff, clean it, and maintain it. Well, with the right to repair law in effect, and that gave me the ability to pull the bottom plate, they can't do nothing bad. They cannot deny the warranty because the right to repair law states that I can pull it. As long as I do not modify the amp and or the PCB in any way, they cannot deny me on the warranty, which I don't do that on amps. I don't know amps like that, so I don't screw around with it. Because, well, $2,600 amp, you go modifying, you don't know what you're doing, and you screw it up, that's a very bad day. But like I said, I got my new amp in the mail. Pulled the bottom plate right away. Um, there was no jumper cable. There's nothing on the board because I looked at different spots that Kevin pointed out, so I knew more of what to look for, and I did all that. There was nothing on the top side of the board. Downfall is like the underside of the board, where he said that that's a factory job. The factory did that, and they just did a piss poor job doing it. That was on the bottom side of the board, and in order to see the bottom side of the board, you have to pull the board out of the amp. I can't do that because I don't have the thermal paste for that. I've never taken a board out of an amp, and for that cost, I wasn't doing it. I was more or less going with it, more or less. So I ran the amp with no problem at all. But when I got it hooked up and I started testing and tuning in the amp, it actually took, and there was a weird noise with it. It was the best way I could put it. It was like a hollow noise in the bass. It was like an echo, but without the repeating effect of it. It was really weird, and no matter how much I tuned the amp, no matter how much I adjusted the system, I couldn't get rid of it. I never had the sound before. I didn't have it with the refurbished amp. I've never had it with any amp in the past. So I was like, this is not right. But I was just figuring, okay, well, every amp is different. So I ran with it. My second day into work, I wasn't in the mood to listen to any music, not like that at all. So I drove into work. It's a 15-minute drive from where I live. My job's 15 minutes away. I drove all the way to work. No systems not on, nothing at all. Just cruising along, enjoying the weather, having my smoke, etc., etc. I pull into work, and I go to pull in my parking spot, and as soon as I go to put my car in park, again, 15, 20-minute drive, no music at all, nothing at all, just cruising along. I pull into work, go to put my car in park, and I hear a pop. Like, what the hell? I look at my Genius amp that I've got my musical end. That's green, that's fine. I'm like, okay. So I get out of my car, pop my trunk. My less than 3-day old DC 10K is in protect mode. I'm like, what the hell? This makes no sense. So I just figured for shits and giggles, shut off the car, turn it back on. Maybe it was just, I don't know, some sort of hiccup or something. I shut the car off, turn it back on. No bass at all. It's instantly in protect mode. Okay. At this point in time, yeah, now I'm pissed. So I haven't gotten in contact with DC Audio yet or nothing like that whatsoever. But I had taken, and when on my first amp, the one that let go, I called DC Audio, and I told them, I was like, well, Kevin said about the amp being refurbished, this and that, and DC Audio came out right out and told me point blank to go, no, the amp was not refurbished. That amp was brand new. We haven't had a B stock. If your amp was repaired and we had it, that'd be the first one in 7 years. Really? So now you're telling me your own repair guy is a liar? Really? Then when I relayed that back to Kevin in the messages, he denied it. Meaning he was saying they're wrong. So I was like, somebody here is lying. But that being said, I took and right away got a hold of my dealer and told him point blank what happened. And he knows everything that he's from day one when the first amp let go to the second one to today, which is when I got my new amp. He said himself point blank, it's an effing joke. And like I said, I took and shot him a message less than 2 hours, or shot him a message, got home from work, passed out for a couple hours, or I want to say passed out for a couple hours. So yeah, I haven't been up all that time. I got a more or less like a cat nap, if you want to call it that. But I passed out for a couple hours, woke up to my dealer taking and sending me with a text, told me what time I could swing by his place because I sent him a text before I laid down. What's the earliest I could show up? He gave me the time frame. Went to his house, picked out my amp. We took care of our business, and came home, ripped the system apart, did a couple little upgrades, which I'll probably do a video after I go to import face off because I got next 2 weeks is extremely busy for me. My tomorrow is my last day off, which I'll be spending more time than anything testing and tuning, and then my next set of days off will be testing and tuning before the show, and then I go to the show. So I'll more than likely be doing a whole gig on the car after the show, because then I'll actually have a little bit of time. Um, but yeah, so that's pretty much that. Kevin was calling DC Audio a liar in the messages, which I've got all the messages. It wasn't on a video. I've got all the messages, so I can prove everything that I've said on this video. I can prove it. So if anybody wants to call out anything on that, on the end of DC Audio, Rusty, or whatever, and then Kevin, don't even go there. I've got the proof. I've got the screenshots of everything. I saved it all because when I go after my refund, I want to show that I am getting jerked around over the money, and I'm tired of it. Point blank, I just want my money back, and I'm done doing business with DC Audio. First time I ever decided to go with a name brand company, top of the line amp, and this is the result of it. So on that note, DC Audio, you lost a customer because I was going to buy the Pitbull coming at the end of the year. And that pretty much wraps up my review on DC Audio. I will never do business with them again. Their customer service absolutely sucks, point blank. Between DC Audio and the repair guy, one of them were lying. Do I really care? No. And just to show you, there's the 10K right there. Gonna be mailing that out come next Monday. That's another $107. So I mailed the first one out, that was $107. When I mailed this one out, it'll be $107. So that's $214 that I'll never get back on top of what I paid for the amp. So I'm gonna be fighting to get my money back from them. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So 22 minutes in. If you guys made it this far, cool. If not, don't know what to tell you. You can't really say nothing in the comments because everything that needed to be said is in the video. And as I said, anybody wants to say anything on DC Audio on how they run their stuff or whatever, I've got the screenshots of what me and Kevin said on top of the videos. So Kevin put it point blank on DC Audio. DC Audio put it back on Kevin. And when the second amp let go, I'll tell you point blank, I laid into Kevin. I wasn't playing the games anymore. He tried to blame it on my system. He tried to blame it on my system, tried to blame it on my subs. I put my multimeter on my subs. My subs are in perfect condition. Try to say about coil rubbing, no coil rubbing at all. Trying to say that maybe that wires inside the box are crossed or shorted out. Impossible, because I actually pulled the sub this morning before I took my cat nap. I pulled the sub to look at the inside, and everything's still solid as a rock. No short, no nothing. Even my custom terminals that I make, they're 2 inches apart. So even if a wire came loose, a positive wire came loose or a negative wire came loose, it's impossible. They can't cross and short out. They're too far apart. But yeah, I took it and did got that all taken care of. Got my new amp back, the amp that I missed, the Terramp Space 12K. Got that installed in the car. Got a rough tune on that. The car's an absolute mess now, so I got to clean that up because, as I said, I ripped the car completely apart. Rewired a bunch of different things just to do it. And then I took it and I put everything back together. Got a rough tune on the amp, which I got to do testing and tuning now, which that's gonna pretty much eat up my time outside of work till the show, which my next 2 weeks of work are gonna be quite busy. But yeah, that's pretty much that. I've covered as much as I could possibly think. I would show you guys the messages on the Facebook, but if it comes down to it, if somebody says something, then I can just drop the message and prove the person wrong. That'll just be that, because everything I've said in this video, I've got the proof for it. And oh, and when I laid into Kevin about my system and everything, I mentioned Genius Audio, and when I had their Beast 10K, I took that all the way down to, I think it was like 8 or 9 volts, and that thing was hotter than hot. I mean, you couldn't even touch it. It would have fried your fingers, and the amp never quit. Second I said that, Kevin blocked my messages on Facebook and unfriended me. Funny how that works. When a company, Genius Audio, which is a far smaller and not nowhere near as known as DC Audio, puts out a better product from a company that's higher respected and much more well known, that's a pretty big testament to how uh, how bad it is. And just so you know, back years ago when I went to import face-off with my Eclipse and I was rolled off with 412s, and I took first place in 2 different classes, that was with the Genius amp on half power, and I was running a factory alternator, so I was lacking on power on top of running on half power. So yeah, I was on the meter with my voltage dipping down in the 8s on the meter. So that's just a testament. And I was demoing all day in 90+ degree weather, nonstop, broadside, sunny day, nonstop demoing all day long. The amp, literally before I went on the meter, the amp was hot as hell. I mean, you could feel the heat in the front of the car. You could feel the heat from the amp. It was that crazy. But yeah, so that's pretty much that. And yeah, now I get to enjoy my battle I'm gonna have of get my money back from DC Audio. And again, never gonna do business with them again. Never had issues with my system until I gave DC Audio a try. That's a fact. Never had a problem keeping it up and going. If I had stupid little issues, I mean, yeah, granted, as I was growing in the audio community, I had my own little faults where I had to replay stuff. It happens as you learn. But outside of that, I never had an issue. I've never had issues with my system at all, like I'm having now or had, until I went to DC Audio. Now I'm back. Now I'm back full out buying from my dealer because I just try to outsource to, try name brand higher up, more respected company because the quality, etc., etc. And yeah, turned out I was better where I was at because I'm, thanks to my dealer, I'm up and running. System's actually hitting harder than it was with the DC 10K, which is kind of crazy. A Terram's bass 12K with a rough tune is hitting harder than my DC 10K was. Hitting harder and cleaner. 27 minutes in, made it this far. Thanks a lot if you made it this far. If not, don't know what to tell you. Everything was in the video that had to be in the video for the review. And yeah, that's pretty much that. Team Genius, we're out.